slip you some boogie we will. For the Fringe FM. Coming at you live from the middle of nowhere, the center of everywhere, here once again to give you yet another dose of conversational boogie. This is Shift Happens. Oh, buddy, do follow us on Twitter at Shift Happens Pod. You can follow me, Gigi, over at Gigi Rabbit 1. And of course, we've got Brad. You can follow him on Twitter, ADS Brad Harris on Twitter. What's happening, Brad?
Yo, what's the haps, brother? Just shit going. Big shock is out to you. Stoked still from last week's show, man. That was a great show with Douglas Taylor. We got the Twitter thing going good and strong at the hashtag ShiftHappensPod, you guys. Let's use that tonight. You got some amazing pictures or videos you want to get down with and get your boogie on. So yeah, let's get this thing rocking.
Yeah, man, and we've got a lot of stuff to give away tonight. We got some shirts. We got a game from Game Society Pimps. Hooked us up to give out to you guys, one of you guys, and we'll get more on that later. Now, Darren is taking an honorable leave of absence tonight, but he didn't get a letter of permission from his parents, so I'm gonna give him Saturday class tomorrow, and and he'll be on the show tomorrow with Billy Carson. And that's right. Go. Tomorrow we're doing B-Sides and Rarities with Billy Carson. More on that in just a bit here. Now,
Billy's gonna have a bunch of books for you all too. He's gonna be handing those out left and right.
Oh yeah, we've got I'm not sure how many he sent over. 3 or 4 or 5. Yeah, we've got several books we're gonna give away tomorrow. So there you go.
There's 5 here.
And then me and Hal Fry are going to do a little show on Sunday. Hal Fry's in the chat room right now. I don't know if it's going to be live or not, but it is going to be... If you want to laugh so hard that you almost throw up, then then stay tuned to me on Twitter. It's not going to be on Shift Happens or B-Sides and Rarities. It's going to be its own thing. But it will be some of the funniest stories you've ever heard. Very much looking forward to that. Now... man, so also tonight, filling in, I guess filling in for Darren, basically. We've got none other than our roaming reporter, Eric Awakening Man. What's happening, brother?
Yo. Yeah, I'm not just a reporter now. I'm a hybrid discovery quantum hologram cosmetologist.
Right, yeah.
What?
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know.
Oh, dude, watch. That's going to be the latest term now. Everyone's going to be using that one, so watch out. You better coin that quick.
Yeah, man. So we've got some cool stuff coming up. We've got Suzanne Ross's conference coming up. She does a show on the Fringe FM here called Sci Spy. And so that's coming up. I think that's not this weekend. I think that's next weekend. And that's in Sedona, Arizona, I believe. And I'll be there. Eric, are you going to go to that one? Is that next weekend?
I thought it was going on right now. Weekend. Yeah, it's going on right now. Yeah. It's just started.
Doc Rev's there right now.
Yeah, man.
You know what? There's just too many things happening. I woke up this morning to like 300 notifications on Twitter because of you, Eric, and D.E.E.T, and everybody, all these threads that got started off of all your tweets. And it's hard to keep up.
Yeah, it's a lot. It takes like 2 or 3 hours just to go through them all.
Well, in that case,
I guess I'm digging all your pictures too. You've been posting a lot of cool pictures. There's one of Scott Richards, Gigi, and I at the the Ace Hotel. Man, that was looking pretty dangerous.
That's
that
a
night.
Classic right there. That is a classic picture.
I really like that photo. That's a great photo. And I don't know how you got that long shot to when I try to upload those to Twitter, it doesn't work. But
because I shrink it with the iPhone, I can manipulate the size and shrink it down, and then sometimes I'll take a picture of the picture, so then I can play with it again. It's kind of fun. It's just like iPad art, basically.
Yeah. Yes, I don't have the patience for that. It's either got to work or just I give up. And speaking of giving up, I don't know what you guys what all these tweets were. You know, I just kind of scrolled through and I saw your name and D.E.E.T's name and then a bunch of new people. And there's a bunch of new people in the chat room right now. Welcome, everybody. I guess you guys really pumped this thing up. So welcome, everybody. And, I'm pretty excited about this. This has been something we've been planning for a while. and it was going to be a B-side rarity show, but it just seemed, after the last time, because if you guys didn't hear the B-side episode we did with D.E.E.T a couple of weeks ago, oh, man, we almost went for 5 hours. It was like 4 hours and 45 minutes or something like that. And, I remember, Eric, you mentioned, like, man, if only Jason could talk with D.E.E.T. And then Jason pops up in the chat room, like, oh, man, we got to get you in. And then, yeah, that was a great show. That show was, like, more popular than a lot of our regular shows. And,
it's Jason Quitt. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, I mean, he, I think, yeah. So,
I mean, if we were going to start our own, Shift Happens hybridization program, we would start with Jason and D.E.E.T and just go from there, probably.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to create enough material to last, centuries, for sure.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, tonight's going to be very much their show. This is for Jason and D.E.E.T, or Jason and D.E.E.T. Yeah, Jason and D.E.E.T. Man, my brain is scrambled today. But yeah, guys, so we've got some stuff to give away. We've got a few Shift Happens shirts that are coming in. And for all of you gamers out there, so there's a new game out called Splitgate. Apparently it's pretty good. I don't know. The Game Society pimps gave us a copy to give away. And so here's what you do if you want to win that. We're also, it's whoever gets it either tonight or tomorrow or even on the show on Sunday if nobody gets it by then. I'm not sure. I know most of the gamers don't listen to our Friday shows. They listen to like the other shows we do. But if there are any gamers out there right now, here's what you do. Take a pic. First of all, you have to go to YouTube. Look up the Game Society pimps. All right, Gallant Warriors in. Okay, we got a few gamers here. All right, so here's what you do. If you don't know the Game Society pimps, first of all, how dare you? Second of all, go to YouTube. Look up Game Society pimps, and they've got one of my favorite series is Skyrim for pimps. They do like video game parody comedy is basically how I describe it. Just all kinds of great content. Their live streams they do on Wednesdays are just a lot of fun. And they're just funny. They're great guys. And then Aaron Yonda, we actually had him on a B-side episode. You can go check that out. So yeah, go to their YouTube channel, subscribe to their channel, and you have to take a screenshot or take a picture of your screen that shows that you subscribe to their channel, and then direct message me or us at Shift Happens Pod on Twitter, and make sure it's a direct message, because if you just tag us in it, I'm not going to... I've been getting, hundreds of notifications, like I mentioned, these last couple of days. I'm not going to see it. So make sure you direct message us a picture of you subscribing to the Game Society Pimps, and we will give you a Steam code for the game. It's on either PC or Mac. Keep that in mind. So make sure you have a gaming PC. And if you do win it and it turns out your PC can't run it, just let me know so we can give it out to somebody else. Okay, guys? So that's that. And for the shirts... I've been thinking how I wanted to do it, and I haven't really decided. How do you think we should give out the shirts tonight? We've got 3 of them to give away.
Well, what kind of shirts do you have, Gigi?
We had, they're just basic, the Shift Happens logo. Black shirt with the Shift Happens logo. Nice and sexy.
Well, that is not basic. That's very sexy. In fact, I would be loved to be seen in pictures in one of these in public, and I would be proud to wear that, definitely, especially at conferences or kind of, the who places to be. Anyways, yeah, you can get these also. They're going to be sold for $15. But tonight we're giving away how many, Gigi?
We're going to give away 3 tonight, and we'll give away some more tomorrow too. But 3 tonight.
All right. Well, how about somewhere along the lines of answering questions tonight?
Okay. Okay, here's one. How about this? Here's one. Whoever says the funniest thing in the comments, in the speaker chat room, they're going to get one for sure. By the end of the night, I'll remember who said the funniest thing. And if you got something funny to say, put it in all caps. Otherwise, I might miss it.
Well, that'll be 3 funny things to say because we got 3 shirts.
Yeah, I don't know. But see, that's not fair because not everybody's, not everybody's funny. So we want to give other people a chance to win too. So, no offense, guys, but.
Let me ask, are you going to open the lines up at some point for 20 minutes or 15, or if we have time, or do you know yet on that?
See, that was the original idea, but I wasn't sure if we would have time. So,
well, if we have time, and then somebody calls in, they automatically win just for calling in. But
Yeah.
they gotta have something to add to the whole situation though. Something you got to bring it to the table.
Yeah.
You need some ingredients for this enchilada.
Yeah. So okay. So
That makes sense.
So that's what we'll do. Towards the end of the show, we'll open up the phone lines just to give away shirts. And what you want to do is just have a banger question, and just make it quick. Make it quick because we want to give all the time we can to Jason and D.E.E.T here, and you'll see why. Because you never have enough time when it comes to D.E.E.T or Jason.
Okay. How about this? Also, if you also believe that you are a hybrid, and you call in and tell us your brief hybrid story, automatically you get a shirt, even if you run out of buying a shirt.
That's a pretty good idea.
All right.
Yeah. Guaranteed.
But it's got to be kind of believable. So, how about that? It's got to be good. It's got to be believable, or you got to be funny.
It doesn't have to be as good as D.E.E.T's. You don't have to be as believable as D.E.E.T, but just
You
get
don't
close.
have to top me.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You don't need a gene report to win the shirt, so just call in.
Yeah. You're not going to top D.E.E.T, folks. So don't even worry about that. So all right, there we go. So that's how we're going to give away our stuff tonight. And I need to go ahead and get Twitter on my other screen here. I'll do that in a minute. And so what else we got going on? We've got Contact in the Desert coming up. If you guys,
we do.
If you guys aren't down with the boogie, tell them all about it, Brad.
Yeah, Contact in the Desert coming in strong this year, 2019, May 31st to June 3rd, out at Indian Wells at the luscious Renaissance Inn over there. It's rad. It's on a pretty cool desert scene over there. They have a beautiful pool that I just love. That's like my natural habitat. If you don't know me.
Oh yeah.
And
and on that subject, I was going to say, if you guys want to donate to the show, you can go to shithappenspodcast.com and hit the PayPal button, and all proceeds from donations tonight are going to go towards getting a trophy made for Brad for being the MVP, the most valuable pool person from last year. And so
It's quite the honor.
let's make that happen. guys.
bows. Yes, thank you. I'm honored.
Let's-
But anyways, after that,
Receive the award.
I've never won anything, so that would be awesome. Anyways, we got June 22nd at the Historic Park in downtown LA is Disclosure Fest, which is one of our favorite free festivals. You go out there for the day. There's tons of stuff to do, a bunch of vegan food. Actually, Jason, if you're down, Jason Quitt's down. He needs to stop by there and make an appearance down at that. That's put on by Adrian Vieira, one of our good friends, and definitely we'll be having him on the show here shortly, as well as Victoria from Contact in the Desert.
I'll be there. I'll be there.
Yeah, you
What
gotta
date
show
is
up.
that?
That's
What's the
June
date on that?
22nd. June 22nd.
D.E.E.T might be able to go to that.
Yeah, it's a family thing.
Which
It's
one?
we bring my kid every year. Me and Michelle.
It's in
and
Los
John are
Angeles, right? And right
Yeah.
downtown Los.
downtown. It's cool because they wrap it up right around an hour after dark. They have a little movie or something, and then you have the rest of the night to go roam around and have a good dinner or catch a concert. LA's like right there, so yeah, come out and check that out. Hopefully, Shift Happens will have a booth this year there. That's what we're working on. And then, of course, we got Jimmy and Rita's gig going on out at Soul Tech in Loveland, Colorado, July 4th to 8th. And I know Jason's going to be at that one. It's going to be a learning kind of event and a lot of fun on this beautiful lake and setting. So, I've never been there, but I'm definitely looking forward to going out and shooting some pictures and video and doing a little tech work. So, I wish everyone to come out and visit with us.
Yeah, because I know you and me and Eric, we're going to be at all those events. And,
That sounds awesome.
and Dee, you're going to be Contact in the Desert, right?
I don't know if I'll be able to make
gonna-
it.
Sounds like a yes to
We're
me.
gonna do like a GoFundMe or possibly some sponsorship for the show, and then if we can raise up some money, that'll be her choice if she wants to go. But hopefully she'll want to go.
Yeah, if you just
Would
show
be fun
up,
to hang out.
just show up,
Just
and-
for a
and-
day
and
or
we'll,
maybe a
we'll
day
figure
and a half
something
or
out.
something even.
Yeah, I mean, there's we usually a lot of people throw in on a house. There's always if there's a will, there's a way. I know many people that have just shown up in years past and they figured out how to do it. So
Wow.
And you got to go to the Giant Rock. I mean, if you haven't been to Giant Rock in Joshua,
I
check that
love rocks.
well, this is not your run-of-the-mill rock. Yeah, you'll really, if you like rocks, you're going to love this one because it is quite literally giant. I guess it's kind of like 2 rocks now, isn't it?
It's like climbing and rocks. My 2 favorite things.
And then
I got to ask D.E.E.T. This question. D.E.E.T, have you ever heard of George Van Tassel?
No.
See, okay.
Have you ever heard? Okay, let me just real quickly. I got to ask you this second question, then I'll shut up. Have you ever heard of the Venusians, D.E.E.T? Are you familiar with this race from Venus called the Venusians?
I haven't met them personally, but I've heard that before.
Okay, and keep that in mind. Keep that in mind because you're going to hear some knowledge come out of D.E.E.T that you would, that would typically come out of, years and years of research. But she's really got a, like I've said before, and I'll say it now, it's really hard to, when it comes to anything like astral travel or remote viewing or anything like that, pretty hard to impress me. D.E.E.T has impressed me like 3 times significantly, and you're going to see that tonight. I have no doubt about it. Or right along those lines, we're going to have Jason Quitt here as well, and we're going to get to both of them in just a few minutes. But first, this show is brought to you by Pure Health Defenders. That's right, the makers of C7 Tech and C Miracle. C Miracle being a C vegetable-based food supplement, superfood supplement, and C7 Tech being coming in the form of a chip that uses scalar energy and atomic technology to realign your blood flow and the energy flow in your body. Sound too good to be true? Go to purehealthdefenders.com. We've got all the scientific research to back it up. Down there, we've got the thermal imaging that shows before and after photos with only 10 minutes of having the technology on. You can get it for your pets. You can get it for yourself. You can get it for plants. It's fantastic stuff. And if you use the promo code SHIFTHAPPENS for any order, you will get 50% off your order, free shipping, lifetime money-back guarantee. Bam, son. Get there while you can status.
I'm wearing mine right now.
Yeah, I've had mine on since June of last year. I took it up. The only time I've ever taken it off was to do a thermal imaging with Pure Health Defenders because you have to take it off to do the before and after. Other than that, never taken it off. And I was nervous at the airport the other day. I was like, oh, are they going to make me take this thing off?
I know, me too.
Because I'm kind of doing this study with them where it turns out there's actually even more benefits that start to kick in around 6 months of having it on straight. So I really didn't, I didn't want to ruin my run. And they didn't make me take it off. So, yeah, there you go. Don't even worry about that either. So, yeah, Pure Health Defenders, guys. Great people. Yeah, we need to have Gray back on here pretty soon, man. We got to get Gray.
Yeah, he's looking good. He had surgery, and he's bounced back really good. So he's actually looking better than he ever has. So,
yeah.
And hats off to him and love to him for sure.
He's got to be feeling pretty great because and I'm not even kidding, folks, he's got a C7 Tech chip in each and every one of his teeth now. And I'm not kidding. And more on that story next time he comes on the show. It's actually so rad. I'm actually gnarly. So hyped on that. Okay, so that's that. We're also brought to you by Flax C60, and that's Darren's company. Normally he would tell you all about it, but in this case, I will. C60, Carbon 60, probably the single best thing you can put in your body. It's got, thousands of times more antioxidant potency than the next best antioxidant, and it's just the best thing you can do for yourself. And if you don't know about C60, just go look it up, do your research, and if you want to get in on that, go to flaxc60.com, use the promo code ShiftHappens10, and you'll save yourself 10% off of your order. And Flax C60 is also the only brand that makes it with flax oil as the delivery method, which adds extra benefits that you're not going to get from any other C60. So there you go. We're also brought to you by Coinbase, the simplest gateway into the wide world of cryptocurrency, that is. And if you're interested in getting involved in cryptocurrency, definitely start at Coinbase. And while you're at it, you might as well go to our website, shifthappenspodcast.com, click the Coinbase banner at the top right. When you make your first deposit of $100 or more, you will, in whichever cryptocurrency you choose, you will get $10 free worth of Bitcoin in your digital wallet. Bam! Also, want to remind everybody, for all the new folks listening tonight, a lot of you guys have already found your way into the chat room. But for those of you that aren't familiar with Spreaker and you want to get in on the chat room, which is popping right now, by the way, just go to shifthappenspodcast.com and look for the episode player on the main page. And right underneath the current episode, 106, there's a little speech chat bubble icon looking thing. You just click that, and bam, you're in the chat room. And great way to get your questions in, great way to hang out with the rest of the audience and be part of that side conversation. There's also a chat room at the Fringe FM. If you go to thefringe.fm, look for the main menu option that says chat. Click that. You get an automatic invite into the Fringe FM Discord, and you can hang out there as well. And then, of course, another way to get your questions in is through Twitter. Follow us at Shift Happens Pod, or just look for Shift Happens Podcast. And make sure to hashtag Shift Happens Podcast with your tweets and your questions so that I at least have a chance of seeing them. Because Twitter's been pretty crazy today. And, all right, and for all the new people tuning in that missed it earlier, we are going to have tomorrow night for B-Sides and Rarities, we're going to have Billy Carson on here tomorrow. We're going to give away some books, and we're just going to have fun tomorrow and have a great conversation. And so there you go. All right. You guys ready?
That was pretty good, man.
Yeah. I mean, the sponsor part, that might have been record. 5-minute. Well, if you cut it off right where the sponsors ended, I think that was that might have been like number 1 or 2 right there as far as time goes.
Yeah, baby. I just want to see these T-shirts getting slung out tonight.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I can't wait to, don't forget, funniest thing said in the chat room gets one, and then first 2 callers later in the show, that's how the other 2 are going to get out. And if you want the free game, you know the rules, and if you don't, I'll re-announce them after the next break. How about that? So without any further ado whatsoever, let's go one at a time here. First, let's bring in D.E.E.T. This is her grand introduction to the why. You know, I know she's got her show coming out with Eric and Debbie, and she's been, it hasn't even been a month, I don't think. It was just a few weeks ago she first called into this show. Then she's getting her toes wet right now. Yeah, she's making the waves, causing some noise, causing my Twitter to blow up today. And, it's great to have you on. What's happening, Deep?
Not much tonight, but I am psyched for this show and tomorrow.
Awesome.
Right. And so give them a little background on yourself. I could tell them, but how, in your own words, how do you describe your talents and what it is you do and where you come from, what makes you so unique, and all the knowledge that we're going to hear come from you tonight?
Okay. Well, the best place to start is that, so I was this really chill alien on this other planet for a long time. And then near the end of my life, I was like, I want to do something for some other aliens out in the world that need help, or the universe. And these aliens came to my planet, these really chill aliens, and they were like, well, we're trying to fix things on Earth. Why don't you come to Earth? And I was like, cool, great. And they're like, but we need you to die first. And I was like, oh, okay. But I was near the end of my natural life, so I died. And then I reincarnated. And my memories were super crappy for a while. And in between all of that, I reincarnated as this human alien hybrid. So that was really weird. I was like, confusing, but okay. So I spent 20 years growing up trying to figure out what was going on, because it was all confusing. And here I am, because I finally figured it all out, and I'm like, you know what? I should just tell the humans what's going on, and that would be great.
And along the way, I guess you discovered that you had the ability to remote view, not only presently, but also past and futurely.
Oh, yeah. Well, on alien planets, you're usually taught how to do that. So I have a lot of passive abilities from being a psychic alien before and now.
All right. And also, man, we got to cut to a break in a couple of minutes. So, how do we want to do this? Well, we can't just cut to break without bringing the man in here. We've got, that's right, man that needs no introduction, the one, the only, Jason Quitt. What's happening, Jason?
Just enjoying the show and just listening to D.E.E.T. It's refreshing, always hearing new people coming on the scene. And, it's good because that means I get to talk less.
Right, yeah.
Right? So
totally.
So get ready, D.E.E.T.
Yeah, and
we're kind of counting on you, Jason, to kind of take over the role to some degree as the interviewer, because we really want to pick your mind.
I have a lot of words to say.
Okay, good. Good. Okay, so I will take that role, and thank you for having me. I love being on this show. So I will ask a lot of questions. And first, there's one question that I have to ask, and I hope you didn't answer this in the last show you did, but how old are you right now in this physical body?
I'm 20 in this body.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the amazing part.
Wow.
That's the amazing part.
I could tell you what I was doing when I was 20 years old, and it was not this.
Yeah.
Pretty good at putting my head together. It only took me like 20 years.
That's amazing. Well, it's a good thing because there's a lot of people like you out there, and they can hear someone at your age and resonate with you and give them more confidence to come out. So that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, she's really, talk about an old soul. I mean, there's, I've been doing this for years, and for years before that, was doing research. Although at 20, I was just jumping downstairs. That's all I was doing. But even, over the last like 8 or 9 years, I got schooled when we had you on the B-side show. And I was just blown away. It's like, man, we got to do this with Jason. And so here we are. And, okay, right on time. We are going to have to cut to a quick commercial break. But when we get back, we are going to swan dive right into this thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your seats, buckle up, get your snacks in order, get your priorities straight, because we'll be back here in just a few short minutes. You are listening to Shift Happens here for the Fringe FM. I'm your host, Gigi, along with Eric Awakening Man, and we're here tonight with Jason Quitt and D.E.E.T, Down to Earth E.T. All right, folks, we'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay, here we go. AncientLifeOil.com. AncientLifeOil.com. Now, this is for CBD. AncientLifeOil.com. Again, for CBD. Where do I get CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. It's pretty good stuff. Organic, non-GMO. We are the Ferrari of CBDs. AncientLifeOil.com. They say when you mention a person's name 3 times when you first meet, that you're going to remember. So I'd say to you, nice to meet you, AncientLifeOil.com. It's AncientLifeOil.com, right? Nice to know that you help people. AncientLifeOil.com. Think about this. Occasional stress, occasional anxiety, occasional inflammation, occasional stiffness, and intruders that get you down. AncientLifeOil.com. Okay, so I'm going to give you a fact for the day. So Ancient Life Oil does not help you with business deals. Hold on a second. If you feel better, it could help you make a better decision. Okay, I'm wrong. Just remember to go to AncientLifeOil.com.
From birth, we have been conditioned to conform to what is normal, conditioned to adhere to authority, and conditioned to repeat what has been told to us as truth. I'm Ryan Gable, and here at The Secret Teachings Radio, I've interviewed hundreds of great guests and done extensive unique research into subjects that span from the paranormal and the occult to health, philosophy, and history. I personally have no affiliations or agenda, except to use objective critical thinking in my analysis of every subject discussed, to empower myself with information and hopefully allow you to do the same. If you want to join me, tune into the Secret Teachings radio broadcast, airing live Monday through Friday from midnight to 3 a.m. U.S. Pacific Standard Time on the Fringe FM. For more information, you can visit our website at www.thesecretteachings.info or email me at rdgable@yahoo.com.
Pure Health Defenders, proud sponsor of Shift Happens, producing organic and natural health, wellness, and technology products for people, pets, and plants to thrive alive. Pure Health Defenders also known as PhD, is powered by C7 Technology, Scalar Energy, Atomic Technology, and fueled by Sea Miracle Superfoods. 118 nutrients of the purest sea vegetables Mother Earth has to offer, recognized 100% by people, pets, and plants, delivering the value the same. Everybody deserves a PhD. Be smart about it. Come join the healthiest family today.
Kids, don't drink in park. Accidents cause people. This has been a PSA brought to you by your friends at Shift Happens and The Fringe FM.
Hey guys, do you struggle with low testosterone levels? Symptoms of low testosterone affect your optimum functioning as a man, and this includes loss of motivation, fatigue, and lack of libido. Well, now there's a way to increase your testosterone levels and combat these symptoms, and do it naturally. How? It's called Red Stag for Men, the all-new male enhancement formula designed to do just that. Red Stag is formulated with some of the most frequently studied natural ingredients that are known to raise higher testosterone levels. Higher testosterone levels have been known to increase your drive, as well as reduce body fat, improve lean muscle mass, and boost your energy. Red Stag is taken once daily, yet works all day naturally. So go to myredstag.com right now and get your 60-day supply. Red Stag. Remember, take the red pill. Proven ingredients, proven performance. Go to myredstag.com right now. That's myredstag.com.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
KTLK Digital Broadcasting. We rock the paranormal talk.
I came to LA to make rock and roll. Along the way I had to sell my soul. I made some good friends that make me say I really wanna be in LA. I took the 10 to get to Beverly, laid some rock to tape, roll out on 180. Alan and Natasha always make me say I really wanna be in LA.
Well, and we're back. Yeah, that was my Chris Roberts impression right there. All right. Welcome back to Shift Happens here for the Fringe FM. I'm your host, Gigi, along with my co-host for the evening, Eric Awakening Man. And it's kind of hard to say whose role is who tonight. We're all here. We're all hanging out. Now, okay, for the free shirt giveaway, I'm going to have to check the last bunch of messages, but so far as funniest things said goes, as far as what made me laugh, it's got to be Dan mentioning that he bought a Prius. That made me chuckle, especially if that's true. That's just, that's holding first place for now. Apparently somebody named Mike said something funny. I'll have to go back and look. But yeah, if you want a free shirt, get your funniest comment in there in the chat room at Spreaker or Twitter or what have you. And then for the free video game giveaway, we're giving away Splitgate tonight, the new PC game. I think it's also for Mac or anyway. It's through Steam. We're giving away a Steam key for Splitgate, and all you have to do is, and this is via the Game Society Pimps. So all you have to do is go to their YouTube channel, Game Society Pimps, subscribe to their channel, take a screenshot of you subscribing to their channel, and direct message us on Twitter at ShiftHappensPod. Now, don't make sure it's a direct message, otherwise I'm probably not going to see it. So there you go for that. And we'll open up the phone lines later to give away the other shirts. And don't forget, tomorrow night, we're doing an episode of B-Sides and Rarities with Billy Carson. That's right, and we're going to be giving away some books tomorrow. Now, what is B-Sides and Rarities, and how does it affect me? Well, I'm glad you asked. Go to shifthappenspodcast.com, and one of the menu options is B-Sides and Rarities. We've got the whole archive of other, of all the shows there, all the B-Side shows, and that's where you can go to tune into that tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific, same time tomorrow night. So, and we'll probably go for about 3 or 4 hours too. So it's going to be fun. Now, let's get back to the topic and the folks at hand. So now I want to start off with this, Jason. So you're a bit of a bit. You've got quite a lot of experience when it comes to what I might call psychic-like ability, like remote viewing and things like that, and you're very knowledgeable. Now, I'm wondering, the fact that you're so tall, I mean, your antenna's it's a little bit closer to everything out there. Do you think that helps you?
Actually, there is something to that.
Ooh.
And it has to do with the geometry of your body. So you know how your bones are a crystalline material of calcium, magnesium, phosphate. So basically you're a standing, walking, oscillating crystal. So depending on the geometry of your body, your height, and how you carry yourself actually creates a frequency that you can tap into. So yes, my head is higher in the clouds than a lot of people. Maybe that's the reason. But if that's the case, then, there's going to be a lot of basketball players, going into other dimensions too. So, but there is something to that.
Yeah, I mean, you would really kind of think, I mean, I was kind of joking, but you really would think so, I mean, that does make sense. Now, I've just, in the last 30 seconds, I've seen the word crystal like 4 times, and you said it, and it reminded me of this question I'm starting to ask everybody. Haven't really gotten a good answer on this, but I know you've got a firm grip on crystals and where they come from and their properties and whatnot. Have you ever heard of a stone called, some people call it Phantom River Stone, but I guess the actual Japanese translation of, there's a certain stone found in an area of China called Guilin, Guilen, and it's called Tao Green River Stone. Have you ever heard or seen of this?
Is this the one that kind of glows? It has some type of luminescence to it. It's said to be so. I've never seen it in person. It kind of looks like a more brilliant, to me, it looks kind of like malachite, but it's a little bit more brilliant, and ancient Chinese emperors used to make stone mirrors out of these. And very rare and treasure type of stone. And honestly, I didn't even think it was real. And then somebody was like, no, this is actually a real thing. And I've been trying to get my hands on some. And I really haven't met, like, nobody in this circle of people has even the most, crystal-y people. Like they haven't even really heard of it. And so I was just wondering if you had. Personally, I have not, but also just be cautious of getting crystals from China or India, because there's a lot of fake stones that are coming out of there right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of more than fake stones too as well. But anyway, that was a personal question for me. I just need to know.
there's always new finds, and that's what really gets me going. Is that every year there's a new stone being discovered or pulled out of the ground. And I know in Canada here, I'm friends with the person who runs the Orlite mine, Orlite 23, and almost every single season he goes and he finds something that's completely different and unique in that same deposit area. And we're just, making up new names because these crystals do not exist. They're not like out there in stores.
Right.
So you'll always find some really interesting things out there.
Right. And so that leads me into this. By the way, some people are saying that they can't direct message us. If that's the case, and you're trying to win the game, just tweet us. Just hashtag Shift Happens Podcast. Okay, do that, and I'll do my whoever does it first, will get it. Okay, guys. Now, all right. So, are there any when it comes to? Okay, I hear you, Gallant. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, just hashtag Shift Happens Podcast. Now, are there any? Just like all gemstones and crystals and rocks have their different properties, are there any that either of you, D.E.E.T or Jason, that you find in particular helps in sort of aids you in the act of remote viewing or astral traveling?
Absolutely. It doesn't happen all the time, though. I think D.E.E.T is a little better than me now that I'm listening to her talk. But
I guess so.
Okay. And but there are moments where I'll be meditating with a crystal, and because I have that connection to the mind, it's most likely the Auralite crystal I'm meditating with. And as I'm falling asleep, that will take me into another world or dimension, and I will receive some type of vision or message or journey just by kind of going to sleep holding that crystal. And it's happened to me a number of times. So it's not a coincidence that I would get those visions and journeys if I wasn't holding that crystal specifically.
Oh man, okay. Well, okay. So D, let's. What about you?
Okay, so the thing about crystals is that I don't really know a whole lot of the properties of Earth crystals, but that's because I don't know really the names and the structures of these crystals. Because where I come from, on my former planet, we use crystals all the time for healing and other, even just technical applications in machines. And when it comes to what I use nowadays, I've tried a couple of crystals before. I didn't have much luck with them, though, because I can't really charge them well. I mean, the sun charges crystals pretty well, but the way that I like to use crystals is when they're in a sort of supercharged state, and they get like that, I think, after being 3 days in direct sunlight. There's not really any machines that do that right now. I notice that when I have amethyst, if I keep it under my pillow, I tend to have good dreams. But the thing about different crystals is just that, like, depends on which ones are compatible with your frequency. And, like, at least from my experience, they're kind of, like, suggestive. It's like going to sleep with a certain word in your head. The crystals are a certain frequency that your unconscious mind will gravitate towards. And that sometimes opens portals, but it depends on you, too.
Can I add? Let me add to this.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You have to think of a crystal as almost like a neuron of the Earth's magnetic field or the Earth's consciousness. And as we're walking through the Earth, we're bathed in the Earth's magnetic field. These crystals, even though they're disconnected from the Earth per se, they're taken from the Earth, they are still in the body of the magnetic field of the Earth, and they're in your magnetic field. So when you are holding a crystal, be it a citrine, amethyst, quartz, the riverstone, whatever crystal you're holding, when you hold that crystal, you're tapping into the consciousness of the Earth, which is a direct tapping of the frequency. Now, I tend to think that, we call it, let's say, like spontaneous. Like we could have these spontaneous experiences with these crystals. I don't really believe that it's spontaneous, or you need to even charge the crystals. I think that the relationship with the sun's rays, the solar rays coming from the sun, the solar wind, hitting the magnetic field will actually activate certain frequencies within different crystals. So if you happen to be around certain crystals or holding a certain crystal and you get hit by this wave of the Earth from the sun, that crystal will automatically activate some part of you to take you on that kind of visionary quest or journey. So it's really not random, I don't think. But then again, it's like just like you, D.E.E.T, I love rocks. My entire house is filled, literally, with rocks. And I think that there has not been a night since I was about, I don't know how old I was, in my early 20s, that there was not a rock or 200 rocks in the bedroom. You know?
Wow.
So it's something just to connect your energy back to the earth, because we are surrounding ourselves with artificial environments, artificial light, artificial electromagnetic fields constantly.
Yeah.
And if we could tap into the crystal world, it's a solid state frequency. And that's why we use crystals in technology. It's a solid state frequency. So by you holding it and being in the electromagnetic field of the earth, you are tapping into that potential of the earth.
Okay, and because I had a really trippy thing happen to me, and that reminds me of kind of what you were saying earlier, Jason. You know, back in 2015, I saw it looked like a piece of some kind of turquoise. It wasn't a stone that I recognized, but it was just sticking out of the sand back when contact used to be at Joshua Tree. And so me and my friend dig this thing up, and it was this trinket that I can only describe. It kind of looked like a wooden slingshot shape with a string coming off of it with a bunch of gemstones attached to it. And I mean, altogether, it's probably about 10 inches in height, and this whole thing was buried upside down, with just like as if they just left the tip showing just so that somebody would see it and dig for it, and like it was meant to be found. And I found it, and ever since I went home with it, I put it next to my bed, and every time I'd try to go to sleep, I would, a long story short, I was talking with Joe Roop about this, like, man, every time I tried to go to sleep next to this thing, I would have this experience. And he was just like, dude, yeah, that's called astral traveling. And I was like, whoa. Like, and then he turned me on to Robert Monroe, and I started listening to his audio. I started reading his book through audiobook, and he was describing exactly what I went through, like, that first intro section of the book, and journeys into whatever it's called. And it just really, looking back, it blew my mind, because at some point, like, I had to take it outside and put it in my car, and I had to move my car to the other side of the complex and put the thing in there so that it was far enough away for me to go back to my apartment and go to sleep. And that sounds pretty crazy. But that's a real thing that happened. And I still have it today. It's around here somewhere. And maybe I'll bring it with me to contact and show it to you and see, because I want to know what these stones are on it and why they're affecting me that way. Pretty trippy stuff.
You should take a picture and post it so we could all see this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's maybe during the break I can hopefully find it. I have it packed up in a box. I could definitely look up. I sent it to Joe, so I could look up in my old Facebook messages and probably pull it up. Yeah, hopefully I can pull up a picture and show you guys. Yeah, that's been bothering me for years. Like, what is this? Why does this happen every time it's near me? And, same reason why it's in a box in the garage and not next to me, because I can't go to sleep when this thing is in there.
And why did you find it?
Yeah, why did I find it? Out of everybody there, it could have been anybody. And it just caught my eye. Yeah, and...
oh, man. That happened to me a couple times. I used to have these wonderful, really big quartz crystals that would beat, but I lost them both. They were really nice.
Oh, man. And oh, that reminds me. Well, that doesn't remind me. But, so, one thing that I asked you, D.E.E.T, on the last time we had you on for the B-Sides and Rarities show, I asked you this question, and feel free to answer it a new way. But this is one of those, past/present remote viewing things of yours, and your answer blew me away. And so what it was, let's just do it over. How about that? Okay. So what's going on in Antarctica? What is hidden down there? Why is nobody allowed past, they've got that little camp there and you can go and meet the people that work there, but 99.9% of this massive continent is absolutely off limits. Why is that? What's over there? Now, people in our community, we've heard, some pretty credible stories from, Linda Moulton Howe and the likes of that. And although you're probably not so much familiar with that, which is...
I really don't know her.
That's the most interesting part, because what you have to say is really coming from your talent here. And that's what blows me away, is that, you're talking about a lot of the same things. And so let's get into that. What are you seeing out there? What's going on, and what has been going on
there? I wouldn't say, like, it's not this huge part of Antarctica, but it's sort of near the center, a little bit off. It's still huge for any kind of man-made structure, and it's this like machine / artificial intelligence structure. It's also kind of like a building, and it's this thing that I think it was on my first appearance. Someone asked me what the sleeping giants were, and I went and looked, and it's this gigantic machine that ancient humans made, and it's designed in two parts. There's this part that's deeper in the earth, that's bigger, and it's all turned off, and it's like supposed to function as some kind of like gigantic breakaway lifeboat from the planet. And then there's this part that's on top of it, closer to the surface, and it's this it's sort of like a barrier / weapon system to sort of cut off the earth and stop any kind of transportation in between and off world. And it's so strange to me looking at it, because I never really would have expected anything like this on Earth. This is kind of the last thing I would have expected to find on Earth, especially when you go to public school and people are like, oh yeah, people were banging rocks together thousands of years ago, just sharpening spears and catching fish. That's not what was going on, very clearly in this case. And there's been more than one research attempt done on this machine thing, but nobody wants to turn it on, because you can't turn it off once it's turned on. And once it turns on, it looks like it's running protocols or guidelines or whatever is sort of like a slow escalation until almost like mutual destruction. I don't know why they made something like this, but I guess humans were really scared in the past. And the ETs won't go near it, because there's a part of it that is awake, and it senses ETs in the sky around it. It's super sensitive. It has this intelligence, but it's mostly sleeping. And I think that's the main reason why Antarctica is cut off. I mean, there's that. There's also this is more like a dimensional fold above Antarctica. And I think this dimensional fold is, let's see, there's a bigger one above where the other pole is. The name escapes me of that place right now, but it's higher in the air. There's a smaller fold above Antarctica, closer to the ground, but not on the ground. And that fold goes to another dimensional aspect of Earth with a slightly different climate and a different population living there. Okay. So Antarctica is a very strange place.
And here's especially because you mentioned it's ancient, this machine, this weapon machine thing that's down there is ancient, but you also mentioned that there's artificial, so it's like an ancient form of artificial intelligence that's involved. And
yes,
what the crazy part about that is there was a story written before you were even born, in the form of a game called Panzer Dragoon Saga. That's so iconic. Like, go on eBay right now. Right. It's like $700, and whoever, I don't even know who's behind that, but this is before anybody in this community was talking about this stuff. This was like, unless you're a hardcore video game dork with a lot of money, you don't know about this story. And it's crazy that you actually are tapping into whatever information that they came across, that they turned into this amazing story of a game. So that blew me away when you said that now, and when you said that on the other show. Now, let's take this to the other side of the globe. So in the North, if you look on Google Earth right now, you look at the North Pole area, Google Earth will show you a bunch of nothing. It's just there's nothing up there, right? But when you look at all these ancient maps, going back hundreds of years and over 1,000 years, and then you there's all types of cultures from all around the world have depicted, in some cases 3, in some cases 4 little mini continents that sort of surround the North Pole, each separated by what looks like giant rivers, basically. And somewhere near the center is all these legends about Mount Meru. And these are the same maps, that depicted Antarctica before Antarctica was even discovered, by modern science, before we even knew it was there. Not only that, but, you've got maps like the Perry-Reese map that depict Antarctica before it was covered in ice. They've got all the hills and valleys and river systems there. So obviously they had some way of circumnavigating the world, and way before mainstream education tells us they were supposed to. And so in a lot of these ancient maps that have already proven their validity through means like that, they're also depicting Mount Meru and these continents in the North Pole. Why is there really some land up there?
What I can tell you about the North Pole is that before the last polar shift that made that spot on the planet the North Pole, it was it's just that it's been a very traversed place for a long time. Like the same way you would say that India is a traversed place, or even, I don't know, Central Europe. It's a place where humans like living because of the way that it's structured with sea level and currents and coastal lines. And all the recent ice age has done is driven people away from there. But underneath all that snow, it's a really nice place to live.
Yeah, they, in a lot of these legends describe, these old stories going back hundreds and some cases thousands of years. They talk about essentially a paradise up there. It used to, the weather was fantastic. Once you got past Canada, you got past that, what's it called, north of Norway, you get past that inner ring and you actually get to the land. Apparently it was actually pretty smooth sailing out there, both literally and physically.
Yeah. It looks like before the polar shifts, it looks like there was a different ocean current structure that used to go around that landmass. And to be honest, compared to the currents we have now, it looks pretty, is languid the right word? Like, they look very relaxed in a way, very gradual currents, which is surprising because I'd assume that currents that get sort of pinged would be faster, but it looks like they used to be very relaxed.
And so what do you, okay, and
well,
what?
The other thing I can see is that this mountain you mentioned, the name already escapes me, sorry, but it looks like, I don't know exactly if it's, it is the case now too. It looks like there's a part of that particular mountain that actually protrudes into higher dimensions. So sometimes higher dimensional beings go there and then they suddenly feel a connection to Earth in this dimension because it exists in both.
And that is a secret of mountains right there.
Ooh.
You ever hear those ancient myths of the fires on the mountains and the gods live within the mountains, right? Because certain mountains in ancient times would pierce other dimensions going up into the sky, and you could actually interact with those other dimensions and the beings that lived in those dimensions by going up to the mountain. And I would even say that's in biblical stories.
Oh, I've only ever heard of no, it wasn't Noah, the Moses story and the story of the Olympus gods, but I didn't equate it to that exactly, not until now.
And and it's really interesting if you look into. I'm sure we're all familiar with. Well, maybe not you, Deep, but most of us here are familiar with Admiral Richard Byrd, and most people. Obviously, most of the research we do here.
I heard of him actually. Yeah.
Yeah, he Operation High Jump and Antarctica and all that, but a lot of people don't know he was also like the pioneer of going to the North Pole. And after his death, his son published Richard Byrd's diary. And in this diary, he talks about discovering this land out there, and it's a really crazy story about an encounter with a culture that lives there, and it sounds like a bunch of fairy tales, yet it's coming from. Now obviously the diary is disputed by some because his son published it, but it's interesting because a lot of what he had to say about it resonates with what you're describing, and it's fascinating to me because you're so young, you've never been there, you've probably never even heard this story, yet what you're saying is lining up very much so with that. And now we should have taken a break already, but I'm put off for a couple minutes because one question that gets asked to me to ask you about is, especially in the last show, what you mentioned at the beginning, you come. You're affiliate, you're related to a race of Greys. And
yes.
Now Greys these days is a very vague description. A lot of people want to know exactly which type of Greys that you're affiliated with and related to, and where they're from, and essentially where you're from ultimately.
Okay. Well, in a way, it's kind of hard to describe them, because there's not much in human literature that looks like them, and there's not like full-bodied portraits anywhere as far as I can look. I did post these 2 images. One was, I guess, a sculpture someone made of a gray head, and the other one was a sketch I made of a gray face, and they're rough proportions. And if I'm remembering correctly, 5 fingers like a human, but they're much longer. They have sort of elongated features when it comes to their arms, their legs, their toes, and their hands, fingers, sort of thing. Let's see. Traits about these Greys in particular. So these Greys that I'm related to, they have wonderful night vision, and that makes it really hard for them to see during the day. These are the kinds of ETs that, like, you look them in the eye, you can't really see their iris because there's just so much big pupil there. They do have irises, but they tend to be dark colored, so even harder to see. Let's see. And these Greys are purely telepathic. They're around 7 to 8 feet tall, mostly averaging like 7. And let's see. Let's see. Now, there's some Grey races that aren't so good at psychic abilities, and there are some Grey races that are super good at psychic abilities. The Grey race that I'm related to falls somewhere around the upper middle, because they rely on psychic abilities. They use them for almost everything, but they're not the strongest psychics out there when it comes to pure biological potential. Let's see.
Hello.
What? Who's
Can I
here?
ask you a quick-
Oh, is that Eric? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So continue, but before you continue, what are the strongest of the Greys that you are part of?
Okay, so there's there's 2 races in particular. They both look great, and they actually look very similar because they're divergent evolutions of the same race, so that they sort of come from the same ancestry, but they started to diverge and evolve differently. These ones are short. They're taller than Zetas, though, and they have a different head shape than Zetas. They have a very distinctive body shape, which I guess I'll try to sketch later because that really doesn't mean anything. But the thing about these particular Greys is that there was sort of like a interdimensional bubble that just sort of popped around their planet, and it opened up, and it made them like completely engrossed in like a highly sensitive psychic sort of fold of the universe. it's hard to describe, but it's like saying, like here on Earth, humans tend to have some form of pigment because they're exposed to the sun. In their native part of the galaxy, they were exposed to, I guess, just sort of like psychically enhancing environments or psychically predisposing environments. And because of that, because this bubble popped so suddenly, it triggered another evolutionary sort of leap for them in their genetics. Like they evolved rapidly for like 200 or 300 years after that. And it just continued to spiral, although slower over time, until they reached this really crazy pinnacle for physical beings. Because when beings start to ascend into higher states of being, when they start to become non-physical, they can manifest incredible psychic powers. But these Greys in particular, they're sort of the most overachieving, purely physical race. And they can phase out of existence and phase back in, but they prefer to be a physical being, unlike higher beings. And let's see, if I were to describe their full mental capacity, let's see. Well, they can like split their consciousness. Like when I remote view, I imagine two places at the same time, the one where I am and the one where the remote view is happening. But they can literally split their consciousness, so they'll create another conscious version of themselves that can wander in remote view while they're doing something else, and they can do that like. So they can do like 6 easily. That's kind of crazy.
So what? So that kind of like, for example, how I've got 3 different computer monitors here, doing 3 different things.
Like
is that how it is? Okay.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I never even thought about that possibility. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one way to put it, because it's like one thing that we get as we evolve more over time is better attention spans and better focus. So that, in a way, that shows really well that they have this incredible attention span and this incredible focus.
Okay, now another question. Well, we've got a lot of questions coming in from the chat. Oh, and so here's what we're going to do. Before anybody at the Fringe freaks out, all of the commercials I need to run are in the first one and the last one. So the middle break that we would have taken by now is not required. So don't worry, folks. We're just going to skip that break because we're on a roll here, and I don't want to cut this conversation off. So it's all good, people. Don't worry. All right, now to the questions in the chat. One, where did it go? What do the Grey, your affiliation of Greys, what do their skulls look like around the back of the head and neck?
Oh, what do their neck structures look like?
Well, word for word, it's what do the Grey skulls look like around the back of the head and around the neck?
Okay, so let's see. Let's see. Okay, so the back of their head going up from the back of their neck, it looks like a normal neck right until you reach the point where their jawline is, the bottom of their jaw, so like their chin. And then past that point, it sort of narrows, but at the same time, you have this curving outward aspect from inside of their head that is the back of their skull. And it's shaped roughly like, let's see, how would I describe this? Something round is a good comparison. Guess sort of like a flower bud. It's that it's hard to describe it exactly because it's a very particular shape. Skulls have very, very specific differences that are hard to describe in words. But I guess I'll compare it to a human brain. So the thing is that the back of their skull starts higher up on their head than ours does. Ours starts pretty low on our heads. But the thing is that ours isn't very rounded in the back. It's sort of rectangular, a little bit boxy. Theirs starts higher and is much more rounded. It sort of curves out from the back of their head and meets their ginormous forehead right in the middle, being slightly taller near the back of their head, into this very rounded circular shape. It's not like perfect circle though, because around their ears it curves slightly differently, so it's more of like a very large egg-shaped oval, but less egg-shaped, slightly more round.
Okay, and a lot more
And they
questions
have-
where that came
yeah.
from. But I want to take it here. So, and this is a question for both of you. And we'll start with Jason. We'll start with you. So it seems like, we're already talking about multiple races of grays. Not, we haven't even mentioned all the other races of aliens that are talked about in our community. Reptilians, the blue beings, what have you. There's apparently there's a lot of different races out there, and for some reason, at least from our perspective, it seems like Earth seems to be the center of attention. Why is that? Why are we, center stage? Why is some races trying to help us out? Why are some races apparently not trying to help us out and doing negative acts? And why us? We're kind of like a bunch of dumb chimps down here, and they've already got everything figured out. Why are they taking their time to put the spotlight on us, so to speak?
That's a very good question. And I think this goes back to that a lot of different races or even starseeds or other beings living on different planets, dimensions, whatever, those beings incarnate here. And they incarnate in other places as well. I know that the Earth is a portal system to other worlds and dimensions, just like other planets as well. It's not just us. There's a system that's connecting all worlds and dimensions. We just haven't really tapped into that yet, or it's not really part of our knowledge yet. But it exists, and this is where we're experiencing the UFOs pop in and out of existence. You're experiencing different beings coming here in their dimensional bodies, astral forms, and sometimes physical, popping in and out of our physical dimension. And we're just kind of scratching our heads saying, these are like aliens coming to our planet. Maybe this is how the universe actually operates and works, and we're just still children trying to figure out our place in the universe. There was one message a long time ago that was given saying that the Earth is like the base station of the galaxy. And I know that sounds pretty grand, but it's just continually saying that many hybrids, starseeds, do incarnate in physical form bodies, just like they do all over the place. And there is a natural portal system here that allows you to go into those other worlds and dimensions. And I think that is what we're playing with now. And that is what, people can be mistaking as ghosts or paranormal things or entities, demons, aliens. I think that we're putting our beliefs and fears into what we believe these things are. We may not have really figured out what these things are just yet. And I know there's a lot of people that, are 100%, these are demons or these are this or that. But I'm still scratching my head, and I've been looking into this for a very long time. Plus, with my experiences of coming to face with these type of beings, including different beings that look like what we would describe as a gray. To me, it was more of even though it was an astral experience or a dimensional experience, they didn't come off as, I would say, a demon. I've dealt with things that I would definitely consider demons. These things did not come off like that. And usually they just kind of watch or stand by or even call for help. I've been called to help one of these types of beings, which was a taller one that had pink skin, but it had all the attributes of what we would consider a gray alien to be. So do we really know? I personally have my own opinions, but, it changes with different experiences and seeing what other people are talking about and all that. But I really do think that the Earth is no different than any other place. And this is why different souls from different soul groups incarnate here, because that's just the way the universe works.
So, in one thing that you said towards the beginning of that answer, so in a sense, Earth is kind of like the connecting flight so to speak, between other dimensions and other planets.
That's right.
Okay.
And like I say, I could be 100% wrong on this because, I've seen so much conflicting information, and I've had experiences which were very positive and experiences that were very negative. And I have to kind of come to my own kind of conclusions, which is shaped by these experiences.
Okay. And, okay, man, there's just so many questions here. It's hard to pick and choose here. But before we move on, Dee, do you have anything you'd like to add to that, or do you have your own take as to why Earth seems to be the center of attention when it comes to all the different races?
Well,
is that just our perspective?
I can speak at least from my former life's perspective. I know that in our particular case, we were really worried about humans, because humans were coming to this very sort of like catalytic point, I guess, and there were possibilities of self-destruction and possibilities of downward spirals. And I know that when we would see humans, like when we would remote view them and look at the planet's surface and see, we sort of felt responsible, like not like we put you there, but like responsible the way a parent is for a child, I guess, or even just an adult for a child. We just wanted to show you a better example. And I know a lot of beings in the Federation really just feel that way, like sort of like being a good example means being a good example everywhere, sort of thing.
Okay, and that reminds me, D.E.E.T. Did you ever go and check out the Orville?
I didn't, not yet. Sorry, I lost the link.
How
is it
dare
still
you?
in our Skype chat? Is it in the? Oh, it's in the tweet chat, isn't it?
Yeah, I forget which one, but yeah, just wondering because I mean, as funny as that show is, they've actually they hit on some real situations that we will probably encounter once we become an interstellar civilization or an intergalactic civilization at least. And it would just be very interesting to hear your takes, especially season 2. A lot of the stuff they've been getting into this season is it really makes you think. Like these people have been thinking, it gets really deep. Now, okay, so go ahead.
A quick question for D.E.E.T, because your gray affiliation, is there a name we can just call them so we don't have to say gray affiliation?
Yeah, you can call them the Regalians, probably Regalians B, because they come from the smaller one.
And how would you spell that, just so for conversation's sake?
I believe it's spelled REGELIANS. B. I may have spelled that wrong, sorry.
All right, well, at least we know what to say now. Regalians B. Okay.
But I'm going to ask a question also. From the Regalians, is there an emotional aspect that you inherit from them, or were you, as part of you being here on Earth, incarnating in a human body in that sense? Also, are you learning emotions as for being a human that you didn't experience when you were a Regalian?
Oh, that's a good question, because the thing about Regalians in particular, if we're going to be specific, which is a good idea, a really good idea, is that Regalians experience, like, if we would say that emotions are colors, we could say that humans experience emotions as primary colors. But for the Regalians, they experience like Easter pastels, like very, very like light, sort of easy to look at, almost grayish, like, sort of faded emotions. And it's not that they don't have them, it's just that they experience them in a very moderate way. So there are times where they literally describe humans in comparison to atoms, because to them, humans have states. Like, they describe the emotional states as a state of being, like, wow, that one is sad now. I wonder when it's going to stop being sad. And another one is like, I guess you have to give it the thing to make it stop being sad, which would imply comforting them. But for them, it's a very strange thing to watch because they don't feel emotions throughout their entire body like we do. I know there's degrees for every human being, but for the Regalians, emotions are more like an idea. Like when you think of an idea and you feel it around in your head, that's how they experience emotions. And they don't experience emotions in the exact same sort of patterns that humans do. They don't get upset as much, they don't get sad as much, and they don't experience as much emotional reaction from things. So honestly, being this Regalian human hybrid, it's been really, really hard because in my brain specifically, I have these mechanisms for coping with strong emotions and weaker emotions. And they conflict so many times because sometimes I'll experience small, light emotions, but most of the time I'll experience these incredibly strong emotions, human emotions. And the part of my brain that is very Regalian, in structure and in genetic capacity, can't handle them at all. Gets completely overwhelmed. That's one of the reasons why the Regalians, they always try to give us sort of subconscious blocks for some of our abilities because our emotions are so powerful that we could bring out our psychic abilities without even realizing it, just because our alien minds can't cope with our human feelings very well. And I didn't really have this problem in my past life because I wasn't a hybrid, and my former race was not as emotional either.
Okay.
Quick follow-up, G, real quick, because I just looked up regalia. Not the way you spelled it, but there apparently, do you know about a reptilian race that also goes by the name Regalian? Maybe it's spelled differently, or they're even a different part of the universe. Do you know anything about those guys?
I think that to be honest, I think that these reptilians might come from one of either the main Regal star or maybe Regal C, because I heard there's a Regal C. But you know what? The funny thing is that the Greys, they have mentioned before that there's a reptilian sort of branch in their neck of the woods. And I don't think I've ever met one personally, at least not in astral travel, because my Regalians, they've always told me when it comes to reptilians, this is an approximation because they speak telepathically, but they say when it comes to reptilians, smell first, then think. And it's kind of like, what they mean by that is look at their frequency first, because you can always tell beings at least basic intentions with their frequency. And if they're good beings, then start thinking, because other beings can't really sense you if you're not thinking. That's an interesting thing. Like if an alien is coming to abduct you and you don't want the alien to find you, quiet your mind because that's really how they look for people. They look for your freaking out thoughts.
Yeah, this is something I came across, how do I say this? Something I realized along the way in life was somebody or something I always thought of it more in terms of a technology, some sort of sensor that is like, when you have thoughts, or really when you have points of realization, like, those big, light bulb aha moments, like you kind of tap into this higher frequency, and somebody seems to have the ability to sense who is on that level of discovery, who is on that level of realization, and that kind of that puts you on their radar. You know what I mean? And if you can figure out how to, because once you cross that boundary, it's kind of hard to not keep thinking like that, and you get messed with a little bit. But if you can figure out a way to make it, to not think like that, or just kind of get off that frequency for a minute, you can go under the radar a little bit.
And there's like two aspects to it, because at least from what I've sensed, there's a couple of human groups or human organizations that have some tech that can sense certain kinds of brain waves, which would imply certain mental states. And sometimes they use that to look for certain kinds of humans. But on the flip side of that, you also have dimensional beings like spirits who also wait for humans to get on those frequencies. There are some higher beings that wait for humans to reach a certain frequency threshold to try communicating with them. And there's also like lower, more demonic-like beings that also wait for you to reach a threshold to start messing with you. That's what people sometimes mean when they say you're opening a door by looking into the paranormal. And it's kind of true because there's beings waiting to interact with you.
Can I jump in here? Because this is absolutely true. And, you said smell first. I don't know how many people
like a smell.
But that is true. I mean, there is an actual smell. I don't know how many reptilians you've bumped into, but there, I would say the more nastier ones, like, they really smell. They really, like, it smells like rotting garbage, and it's like you just feel nauseous, sick. So and first of all, it's not physical. Let's get this straight. Like, here's a quick story. My original book, which was the Forbidden Knowledge book, originally I did artwork with a reptilian standing behind the guy, the alien, and I was working on that reptilian for so long, trying to get the characteristics right. And I swear to you, just by working on that artwork, it drew them into my home. Astrally.
I believe it.
And it became so creepy, and you could smell them. I knew that I had to get rid of the artwork. I had to scrap it. I did not want that to go out because an image is very powerful, especially if you're thinking about it so much. So it's true. When people start researching and opening up to the paranormal, they actually call these entities to them because you're putting out that thought form.
Yep.
And they're connecting that through resonance and coming to see who you are and what's going on with you. So really the best thing for you to do is, connect to your true self or higher self or multidimensional self. And what you're doing is you're actually calling in your parallels. You're calling in your celestial family. You're calling in the beings that will try to assist you and are waiting to connect with you. So there are beings out there that are waiting to connect with you. So absolutely.
And the flip side of that is that when you start to become psychically sensitive, you can start sensing when people are thinking about you, even when they're not near you.
Yeah.
Because, there's a physical you, but then there's the you concept that exists in the greater psyche around you, all of the minds and consciousnesses around you. And every time someone sort of taps into that idea image of you, you can sense it because you're connected to it.
Not only that, but you actually build an astral version of yourself. All right. So when people start to think about you or interact with you, that astral body can go and interact with them, even though you're physically here and you're not really conscious of that connection. So you may have a lot of people coming to you and saying, I had this dream where you came and you gave me advice, or you gave me information, or you gave me a healing, or you taught me something, and you just nod your head because you've created this aspect of your consciousness that is a real thing in the astral world, and it will actually go to people that are thinking of you or connecting to your energy. It's very interesting.
Okay, now I'd hate to cut this off right here, but we have to cut to a commercial break right now. So let's go ahead and do that and get this over with, and we'll jump right back in here. And in the next half, we'll take up to 2 calls, but they got to be quick bing, bam, boom questions, and those 2 callers will get a Shift Happens t-shirt as well. And I'll give you an update on the funniest comment situation when we get back from this commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Shift Happens here on the Fringe FM. We're here with D.E.E.T and Jason Quitt. We'll be back here in just a few short minutes. Don't go anywhere.
to know the truth? Are UFOs real? Are aliens visiting Earth? Are governments around the world hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO Seekers, official partner of The Fringe FM, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Join us as we investigate locations like Area 51 by subscribing on YouTube at youtube.com/UFO Seekers.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
All right, man, this is Crow 777, and you are listening to The Fringe FM.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Want to know what's on The Fringe FM? Check out our schedule at thefringe.fm.
Don't feed the Archons. Feed ducks instead. And listen to Shift Happens on The Fringe FM. Fridays, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific. Cortana out. Quack.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
Live for 3 hours every Saturday night. It's a show that engages the mind, makes you think, and maybe even challenge what you think you know. Hi, I'm Jeremy Scott of Into the Paranormal, where we talk about topics that are anything but mainstream, somewhere between abnormal and paranormal. Bring an open mind and join us for Into the Paranormal, live Saturdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Fringe FM.
KTLK Digital Broadcasting, thefringe.fm, Napa Valley, California, Little Rock, Arkansas.
Fringe FM, this is Shift Happens. I'm your host, Gigi, and we're here tonight with Jason Quitt and D.E.E.T, and Eric Awakening Man is here as well. Now, real quick, before we get back into things, we will take phone calls in a couple of minutes. First two callers will get a Shift Happens t-shirt. We'll give out the number in just a minute. Now, for the free copy of Splitgate, the video game, I see a lot of you have been trying. Apparently, our direct message thing is not working. So what you want to do is tweet, and as I said earlier, the rules are you got to subscribe to the Game Society Pimps on YouTube. Take a photo that shows, or a screenshot that shows that you are subscribed to their channel, and tweet that out and hashtag Shift Happens Podcast. That's how you win. And but if nope, I hope I made that clear enough. So there you go. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we do have another show tomorrow night on B-Sides and Rarities with Billy Carson. That's right. If you want to check that out, it's going to be at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time on our B-Sides and Rarities channel. And the quickest way to get there is just go to shifthappenspodcast.com. One of the main menu options is B-Sides and Rarities. And right there that's all you need to do. Go there and push play. And we'll be there live at 7 p.m. tomorrow. All right. Now, so I want to ask you guys another question for both of you. Okay, do you guys really... Do you believe in the concept of actual evil and actual good? And to put this into perspective, growing up as a skateboarder and skating semi-professionally, as a street skateboarder, we had to hop fences and trespass multiple spots to go skate a handrail to go get a photo in the magazine, right? Like that was our job, and plus it was fun. Like that's just what we did. Where from our perspective, we're not harming anybody, we're just doing our thing. But from a bystander's perspective, we are, we're wrecking the rail, we're causing damage to property, we're trespassing by jumping over the fence, you know what I mean? And some people really we've gotten tickets, we get arrested, like as if it's some evil thing, but really it's just, we're just skateboarding. So let's scale that to a galactic scale, or even just a universal scale. Is there really such thing as good and evil?
Oh yeah, I can elaborate on that. Now, for some context though, I haven't traversed everywhere in the universe, so this isn't going to be true for everywhere in the universe, okay? But the thing about free will is that just as there's levels of intelligence, there's levels of will. And I just mean the levels as in a spectrum of more selfish and more selfless. And good and evil it's kind of a simplification, but at the same time, the simplification kind of works for the material. Because there are beings that you can consider evil, and even races that act in an evil way, as a group, not really all individuals. And it boils down to their free will, because in this universe and in this reality, we have free will. And a part of free will is the potential and the ability to do harm. And there are that make the decision that, they want to create harm because it benefits themselves in the short term or in the long term. We see that a lot. And honestly, there's a lot of beings that come to Earth and they really set a bad example because they do that. They come here as more evolved beings and act in a very primitive way, as in only caring for themselves or their own race. Generally, as you evolve, you tend to see things in a bigger, more macro level, and you see how everything is connected, and that lends you to being more selfless because you're a part of a system, and if you act against that system, you lose that system, and that system keeps you alive. That's why grays, races that look gray generally have lost their planets, because they, worked against their own system or even their own species, and that ended up destroying a part of the system they didn't really understand that they actually needed. Yeah, and it's interesting too because the reptilians are brought up a lot in this context, and although it's hard to describe exactly, you could say there's kind of like a twined fate between reptilian species generally and grays. Just like you saying that there were reptilians from Regal, there's some grays that share parallels with reptilians, not completely in their behaviors, but in the events that they've experienced historically, and in some of the sort of future deciding choices that they've made for themselves. And in a way, this boils back to the macro and the micro view of things, because even as conscious beings with wills and understanding of concepts and reality, we still reflect very primitive concepts in our actions. And that's just the way that we are. You know, we're a part of a bigger system, but we're also an internalized system. And, you know, everything that's connected reverberates through itself. So with this whole gray and reptilian aspect, you have the gray aspect, which is sort of like evolving to reach a pinnacle of sort of like an artificial pinnacle in some kind of sort of colonizing way, or like populously growing way. And then you have the reptilians who are trying to sort of take something to become that pinnacle. Not always, but most of the time they sort of want something to complete themselves. And in a way that reflects back to the way brains are structured. Because not every aspect of the brain is going to be called reptilian or even reptile-like, but it boils back to this aspect that, you know, the reptilians embody a certain part in brains, and we also embody a certain part in brains, and so do the greys. They embody a certain part in brains too. And this reflection comes from the fact that we use brains to interface with the world. We have our body, but we use our brain to sort of fine-tune that interaction. So going back to good and evil, we have free will in the universe, and free will chooses to do good things and bad things all the time. Even before you get to the physical level with physical life, you have beings just as spirits that decide to do bad things, and you have beings just as spirits that decide to do good things. You know, generally the good outnumbers the bad, because doing good things is a positive feedback loop. Doing negative things is a negative feedback loop. So one gets smaller and the other gets bigger. But we still have a lot of time left in the universe, so, you know, you're going to see things get unbalanced and move around a bit and sort of express as we visualize our futures together.
Right.
Big explanation, I know.
Okay. Now, Jason, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, and real quick,
if we do have a
caller on. We do have a caller on the line. Caller, if you can just hold on for one more second, and let's let Jason answer this.
I'll just say, from a more simplified perspective, if you just look at nature as nature, you know, you can see like a fox eating a hen, and you can say that's
right.
You know, that's evil, that's bad. Like, how can they just go and murder that thing? And then from the fox's perspective, it's, you know, well, I'm hungry, I would die. It's part of my nature, and they keep each other in balance. Like, there is a natural balance on this planet. And once you get into, let's say, I am aware, I am conscious, I am living, right? And now we're starting to get into free will and consciousness and seeing what's good and what's evil. I'll say that evil does exist. It does exist, and it comes from trauma. It really does stem from trauma. If someone is traumatized, it usually continues that path. And I would say that it's also perspective. So one person may think they're doing something very good, where some person will look at that person and say they're doing something that's very evil or bad. So it really has to do with perspective, survival, and all these things. But it definitely does exist. There is evil in this world. We see it every single day. There is so much, and I think the word is cruelty. There is cruelty in this world. And I think that is, by definition, the worst type of evil there is, to be willingly and knowingly doing something very bad to somebody else that doesn't have anything to do with survival, that doesn't have anything to do other than the fact that they want to cause this cruel act. Okay, so that is definitely evil. And this is where we get into this higher consciousness aspect of free will.
Yeah, and see that kind of, because that's the thing is, the way you just defined evil is, it would be just that, right? But I personally have never met in person, have never seen a person, have never met a person that actually genuinely, like, you hear about evil things all the time. I've never met a person that actually, that's their whole drive, is they want to cause negativity. And that's kind of why I asked the question, like, yeah, it's probably out there, right? But I've never encountered it. You know what I mean?
I've encountered it.
Okay.
I've encountered.
Well, I will take your word on that. I will take your word on that. Now, okay, so we've got a caller, area code 407. Who art thou? Where art thou from? And get in a quick question. Let's hear it.
This is Reverend John Polk. How you doing, Gigi?
Hey, what's happening, John?
Hey, not so much a question, but I'm just going to tell you briefly about the conference that's going on here in Sedona. It's the Cosmic Awakening Conference, and David Wilcock is the keynote speaker, and Andrew Collins is here also, both stars of Ancient Aliens. And I went there, and I lucked out, and a friend of mine named Stanswood Bear, who plays like 15 Native American flutes, and he's awesome. He's a filmmaker and stuff, also a singer.
Wow.
And he gave me a free VIP pass, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" So it's been a good time. Clifford Mahooty was speaking today. Suzanne Rosser has her show on Wednesday. Thunderbeat, who was on my show recently, her and the Sexy Skulls, along with Shakina Rose, were performing live in a band setting, and Jason Stiles with Pyramids, Rion De Rouen, who's one of the event organizers, Alexander Mazzone. Anyway, got a star-studded cast, and we're having a great time.
All right, yeah, I think I'm probably going to make it out there on Sunday, but that's about it.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So on Sunday, they're having the Egypt and Sedona Drive Tours, and that's where Thunderbeat, one of the organizers, can show you Sphinx-like stone structures in the Red Rocks that look like Sphinxes. I mean, it's going to blow your mind. That's from 9 a.m. until 10 a.m., and then a bunch of workshops, including Alexander Mazzone's workshop and David Wilcock, 3-hour workshop. And then on Monday, Andrew Collins and I and Suzanne Ross and whoever's willing to pay, $177 to $222, depending on the package that you get, to go out into the Sedona Red Rocks and see if we can prove that the Cygnus Key, the Northern Cross star constellation, is mirrored here in Sedona, along with in Belize and China and Giza. And being a swan, they're turning it more into a serpent with wings. And the mouth of the serpent, just like in Giza and Belize and China, has a hidden cave, and that's what we're going to be looking for on Monday.
Oh, boy.
I'm just totally stoked.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't know you guys were doing Monday stuff, too. I can definitely make that. And I'm sure Eric magically is going to be there somehow as well. Now, okay, we've got another caller, but so, John, you don't really, you're going to get a shirt inevitably anyway, so you don't really count for the free shirt giveaway.
I love you. Give the shirt to somebody that, you're my boy. I'll get a shirt whenever.
Yeah, we'll get you.
Yeah, so hey, don't let me hog up too much time. I just want to talk about the conference, and D.E.E.T and Jason, you're doing an incredible show. I'm enjoying it thoroughly. So rock on.
All right. Yeah, that's Reverend John Polk, everybody. You can catch his...
plug. John Polk and myself, Quantum Hologram Matrix Tuesday, Richard C. Doty. You got to tune into that.
Oh, boy. That's this week. Okay, yeah, definitely tune into that. That's on the Fringe FM as well. And the conference this weekend that's put on by Suzanne Ross. Definitely check out her show on the Fringe FM as well. That's Sci-Spy Radio. All right, thanks, John. We're going to go ahead and let you go, and we're going to get a new caller in here, and we'll see you this weekend.
Have a great night, everybody. Thank you so much.
All right, you too.
See you Sunday, John.
All right, good night.
Yeah. All right. Caller number 2, area code 917. Who art thou? Where art thou from? And what is your question?
Hi, it's Sarah Ann Dordell. I'm calling from Wisconsin.
Hey, how's it going? All right, Wisconsin. There you go. All right, so what have you got for Deet or Jason here?
Yeah, so I love this conversation and this topic, and I was wondering if Deet feels any kind of connection to the hybrid children that have been created as a result of the programs here on Earth, the hybridization programs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have. I don't generally go around the ships where most of them are, because I worry that I'll be a bad influence a little bit. But yeah, I do feel a connection to them, and there's many, many times where we connect in the dream state and communicate and plan things.
I think you would be a good influence. Are you kidding?
It's just that I'm very human now, and humans are kind of brisk and vulgar. I don't know. They're still kids. I swear a lot.
Yeah, in the in the big scheme of things, right? We're pretty much little kids running around with toys compared to everything else going on. Now, okay, so we've only got a few minutes left. So hey, if you want that free shirt, just email me, gigi@shifthappenspodcast.com with all your information, and we'll get that out to you, okay?
I can't wait. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much. Thanks for calling in. All right. Now, do we have another? Okay, caller. Somebody just tried to call in. They hung up. If you can call back in the next, 20 seconds, go ahead and call in. Otherwise, we don't really have time. So, okay. Now, man, this, like Dan said in the chat room, this is just one of those shows where this really needs to be 3 or 4 hours. So we'll definitely need to do
I have enough chocolate.
We'll definitely need to do a part 2 to this in the next month or so, hopefully. So,
well, Gigi, you and Jason are both invited to come over to Altered and do a show with us. We're going to do 3 hours over there, just so you know, on Saturday nights.
Oh, we are? Well, that makes sense, actually. Yep.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. I hope you do at least 3 hours because you're going to need it.
It's true. I'm going to need 3 hours.
There you go. So real quick, yeah, we got to run right now, really, unfortunately. I can't believe how fast time flew, even though we skipped a break. So let's go ahead and let's start with D.E.E.T. Let everybody know where they can find you on social media and where they can get in touch with you and check out your videos on YouTube and all of that good stuff.
Okay. So I have a Twitter. It's called Down to Earth ET, and you can go there and see how down to earth I am. I try to respond. It doesn't always happen. I have a YouTube video up right now. I think it's on a channel under Susanna Gonzalez, on YouTube, and I have a video up, which is pretty cool. If you put it on 2 times, it's only 8 minutes long. Also, I'm going to be doing a podcast on Saturdays with Eric Awakening Man, which we're still deciding the time. I think around 7, 8-ish, and it's going to be awesome, so I'll see you there on Spreaker.
All right. Well, we wish you the best of luck with your new show. I'll definitely be barging in on that from time to time. And so, Jason, how about you? Where can everybody follow you and keep up with all the things that is Jason Quitt?
You can follow me on Twitter at Jason_Quitt, and that's Quitt with 2 T's. You could also follow me on Facebook. I have a page and group, Jason Quitt, The Crystal Sun. And my website is thecrystalsun.com, where you could find lots of crystals, obviously. And I will be at Contact in the Desert and hanging out with all of you, and also Dimensions of what's the Disclosure Fest?
Disclosure Fest. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. And there's so many conferences out there.
I know,
but
right?
And Soltech.
And Soltech. So you guys are going to be seeing a lot of me, and I like this because I feel like I have this really awesome entourage with me always now. So we're building quite an interesting group of people, so let's keep it going. What's that, Eric?
Find a traveling job for D.E.E.T so she could come and hang out with us.
Yeah, she could be your chauffeur or something.
I'm not that special.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. We got to run. Now, let's see. Okay, so yeah, we're going to have to do a part 2 here. There's no question about that. Now, real quick, all right, so we got one shirt out. I'm going to go ahead, and for the funny comment shirt, that's going to go to Dan. That's the one that made me chuckle. Dan James, I'm going to get a shirt to you. Just email me. You know how to get in touch with me. Just get in touch with me. For the free game, I've got to say the person that although nobody quite got it right, the person that put the most effort was definitely Gallant. So Gallant, if you do want that copy of Splitgate, email me, gg@shifthappenspodcast.com, spelled exactly how it sounds. And we'll hook you up, brother. And we still have one extra shirt to give away, so I guess we're going to save that for tomorrow night, which is we're going to have Billy Carson on the show on B-Sides and Rarities. And how do you get there? How do you listen to that? Just go to shifthappenspodcast.com, click the B-Sides and Rarities link on the menu, and we'll be live at 7 p.m. Pacific tomorrow, and we're going to go for a few hours and give away some books there as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got to boogie on out of here. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We do appreciate it. Oh, there it goes. But don't go too far, because coming up next is Lighting the Void with Joe Roop. And then following that is The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable. You've got a whole night of Fringe FM goodness coming up. This show is hosted and produced by yours truly. Associate producer is Brad Harris. Special thanks to our roaming reporter, Eric Awakening Man. And thanks to our guests, Jason Quitt and D.E.E.T. Also, special shout out to Dennis Koch for all the promotional goodness that he does. And as always, all blames and faults go to Fran. That's right. Hashtag Fran's fault. All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow night with Billy Carson. Adios.